Hello, hello, and welcome back to Bearing Birth, a birth story podcast highlighting the emotional impact of birth, the immediate postpartum period, and the years beyond. I'm Jordan, a doula specializing in postpartum support.
And I'm Sophie, a perinatal mental health therapist. I am so excited about our 2 episodes this week. We have another before and after birth series, only this time we have a couple on the podcast together. Today we're chatting with my next door neighbors, Jules and Garrett, for the before episode, where they share about their experience with pregnancy and what it's like to prepare to become parents leading up to their birth.
It was so special to have a couple on. Both Garrett and Jules were really brave and open with us, discussing some really vulnerable topics.
Yeah, truly. They really went through the ringer during Jules's pregnancy and just had a lot of unexpected news delivered to them. And luckily, everything ended up turning out okay, which is a helpful spoiler alert in this instance.
They really did. We definitely discussed some tough topics during this episode, so we'll include some content warnings as usual. But I really think it's important to talk about the tough stuff sometimes when it comes to pregnancy or just birth in general, because it can sometimes feel like people hide or don't talk about the challenging parts of birth. And then birthing people are really taken by surprise when they encounter some of those challenging things.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of stigma around talking about the hard parts around pregnancy and birth. And at the same time, the reason we include these content warnings is because sometimes for someone's mental health, they might only be able to consume positive information around birth. We want to give people the choice to listen or not listen. And so we think both are totally valid reasons.
Yes, definitely. Okay, so let's get to the content warnings. In this episode, we discuss abortion, unplanned pregnancy, sobriety, chorionic bump, fear around epidurals, and complications during pregnancy, including possible infant brain complications.
We really hope you enjoy this episode as much as we did. It was so much fun chatting with my neighbors and just to be together as a group of 4 for the first time on the podcast. And there really are a lot of lighthearted and beautiful topics discussed in this episode and not just the tough stuff.
I agree. There were a lot of really sweet moments in this episode as well. It's clear that Garrett and Jules will make such a great parenting team, and we will be so excited to hear how their birth goes in the next episode.
We hope to have more couples and other parenting teams on in the podcast in the future. All right, enjoy this episode and keep a lookout for part 2 airing in just 2 days. A doula and a therapist are sitting down to talk about birth. A doula and a therapist are sitting down to talk about birth.
Yeah, thank you for coming on. We're so excited.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah,
I'm
this
excited.
is so much fun. First podcast.
Yay. I'm excited to meet you both, too. These are your next door neighbors?
Next door neighbors, yep.
Oh, that's amazing.
We basically live together.
Pretty much, yeah. We had a garage sale yesterday. It went well. Okay, so if you're open to talking about your fertility journey, if you'd like to, you could start there.
Sure.
Also, when are you due?
October 27th.
Oh, exciting. It's October now, so
Yeah.
it's coming up really soon.
26 more days.
Or 30.
Yeah.
Halloween baby.
It's a mystery. You don't know. When do you think the baby will come?
I think early. I don't know why. Yeah, I have a feeling she'll come out a couple days early.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how about you, Garrett?
I'm really banking on that Halloween baby. I want to wear a costume, but I'm probably going to have to hide it. And
I will say, as someone who was almost born on Halloween, it's still exciting.
Yeah.
November 2nd.
November. Oh,
Nice.
Yeah.
very close.
Yeah.
And
I
all
love
of October you could wear a
Yeah.
Halloween outfit.
So you can do that no matter what.
I mean, this is Portland. You can wear it in July.
That's right.
It's true.
Yeah.
So yeah, what was your fertility journey like?
So this was an unplanned pregnancy. I'll say that.
Okay.
I was using the IUD for a few years, and then it just was really painful periods. So I switched to the birth control pill, and then that was still not great for my body. So I tried natural cycles. Do you know what that is?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I was tracking it, and
I guess we can go into detail for the listeners, though,
oh yeah.
if you
Sure.
want to talk about how you went about natural cycles.
Ineffectively. In the best of ways.
It's a promotion story, really.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd promote it now. This is the second person we know who got pregnant trying natural cycles.
But we also know several people, Jack and Lauren.
That's true. We have friends that use it who haven't gotten pregnant.
50-50 right now.
Yes. I think I was doing natural cycles for a couple of months right? Or maybe like 4 or 5 months.
Yeah.
And it was fine.
Yeah, at least 3, I think.
Yeah. And then one day, just happened.
And that's when you measure your temperature, your body temperature, and cervical fluids and stuff like that, right?
Yeah. And it has a calendar of green light, red light, go, don't go.
Oh.
Yeah.
You had like a device that you would use. Oh.
It's an app.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that's how I was tracking my cycle. And we moved in together. And then 2 weeks later, found out I was pregnant.
Wow. That's a lot of change all at once.
So you moved in next door, and then 2 weeks later, you found out you were pregnant.
February 1st was our move-in date. February 14th, Valentine's
On
Day.
Valentine's Day. Wow. What was that like on Valentine's Day? After so much change, too, as a couple.
Yeah, it was like we didn't even adjust to moving in together yet. And so it was hard. It was really hard at first and unexpected. So I think like those first 2 weeks moving in together, I was so emotional. I was crying a lot. And then I just knew, like, I just was like, I think I'm pregnant. And then I went into the bathroom, took a test, and was like, yep, I'm pregnant.
Wow.
Happy Valentine's Day.
What was your first reaction, Garrett?
It was so there's a couple funny things that made me think of is we've actually had a false positive pregnancy test before.
Oh, okay.
So I've gone through this emotionally in a way. And with this one, I guess there was a questionable time we were, heads up on the app, we were not good at the app. Like we just, user error was a pretty significant part of that. But we did take Plan B, so
Yep, I forgot to mention that.
Gianna really wants to be born. Very excited.
Yep.
She's a fighter.
Determined.
Wow.
Determined indeed. But yeah, so it was to be honest, for all the parents out there, this was not planned. It wasn't expected, the Plan B, and we had talked about, if it were to come to this, because we knew like this was probably not the best form of birth control, but we had talked of like, okay, well, we'll evaluate and probably leaning towards the abortion side if it happens, and then, we'll figure something out from there. That being said, when it happened, as the man, I guess I didn't think about it that much. I'm like, oh, well, I'm going to the contingency plan. Like, okay, well, no, it's going to suck and we have to go to abortion. Like, just not as emotionally attached, which I feel bad about. And so Jules very reasonably was like, hey, I can't put and she had one as a teenager, not to tell your story.
Oh, it's okay. I was going to talk about it.
Well, yeah, I'll let you talk about it.
Yeah, I had just started college as a freshman and started dating someone, not the greatest someone. And 1 month into dating, it was like the first month of school, of college, and I got pregnant and called my mom, told her, and she was like, well, you just started college, so you have a decision to make, and it just wasn't the right time. So I had an abortion in Florida, and it was at a clinic that was, in Florida. And so there was already protesters outside, and this was in like 2009. So it was pretty traumatic. It wasn't, like deep down, I didn't regret it, or I didn't have anything against abortions. It was just like, it was the surgical one. So it was like waking up out of that, seeing the protesters, hearing what they were saying. And it was just, it was kind of traumatizing.
That's so hard, especially when you're a teenager.
Yeah, I was 17.
Wow.
Yeah. Because my birthday's in October, so I turned 18 that October. So, yeah. But I don't regret that decision at all, because I wouldn't be where I am today. I don't think I wouldn't have finished my college education, like all these things. It was the right thing at the right time.
Did it take you a long time to sort of process that, or did you just sort of...
it came up, I think a big part of that relationship not working out was because of that experience. Like it was just always there. So that's like kind of where it came up. And then, over the last 12 years with all this stuff in the news, Roe v. Wade being overturned, it came up. It was like, oh, I want to speak out about this. I want to talk about this, like how it saved my life and how it was like the best choice for me. And yeah. So I'm really passionate about that.
Yeah, especially in Florida. Wow. Yeah.
And then fast forward, when I was pregnant this time, it was different. It was like that came up again. I thought about how I don't want to feel like that again. Like I don't want to have an abortion again. And then being the fact that I'm 31, I have a career, we have a house. Like there were all these different factors, a different time in my life that made it easier to, I guess, decide like, I don't know. As soon as I saw the positive pregnancy test, I was kind of like, yeah, no, this is supposed to happen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So before you got pregnant, abortion was on the table, but then once you sort of realized that things changed for you.
Yeah. Like when we first started dating and we had that false positive test. Yeah. I was like, nope, we just met. I also am in recovery. And so it was around a time that I just started getting sober. And so it was just not the right time, but it ended up being false anyway. So yeah, thank God. And now here we are, 2 years into our relationship, 2 years into sobriety. Things are just different. And yeah, I feel ready.
Yeah.
That's great. Do you feel like your false positive sort of prepared you a bit for when it happened again?
I think so. Yeah. I think.
I guess speak on my half. That I was
Not for him, maybe.
more scared the first time, and I, it was like, oh my God, this is what's going to happen. Like it was very new and just a lot of chaos. And this time, well, yeah, I got to be honest here. It was that we had, I had the idea that was what was going to happen, so I wasn't as afraid. And with the, all fairness to you, yeah, the decision, like, I don't want to go through that. Like, all the places you are in your life and we are in our lives, to have that be like, no, let's do this. Can I swear on this?
Yeah.
Fucking terrified me. Yeah, so that was, we don't have the happiest fertility day. It's on Valentine's Day. We just moved in, but everything was just right, except, yeah, it was a really hard thing to swallow. Like, no, this is happening. It's a very life-changing surprise thing. And as of right now, we haven't even had the kid, and I am just so freaking excited. I am so pumped for it. Like, it's honestly brought us closer in a lot of ways that I wasn't expecting. So, yeah, rough starts, but it's ending real strong. So I think that is my perspective, our fertility story thus far.
How did you both talk about to have the baby or to not have the baby? What was that like as a couple having those conversations? Because that's a pretty serious conversation. It's not about did you do the dishes or did you not do the dishes? It's like,
I think that was our problem. I think it wasn't as serious enough. Like after the first scare, I think it was, and the idea was scary. So our conversations were like, oh God, okay, if that happens, we're definitely not doing that. Just and joking about it rather about, yeah, if that happens, we're gonna get the abortion, and not really internalize and having like a sit down talk of like, hey, what are we gonna do? Especially going on the app. So I think, yeah, we might have been a little, well, I'll speak for myself, more responsive to life than proactive. And I think that's what do you think?
I think that, yeah, I think for most of our relationship, because we had the false positive test, it was like, oh yeah, okay, that's what we would do if we got pregnant. I think it took Garrett by surprise when I decided that I didn't actually want that at the time that I got pregnant. It took me by surprise too. It just, feelings changed in me once I was pregnant at that time, It was hard. Yeah, our conversations were hard because I think that was the expectation at first was like, because we had talked about getting an abortion if we ever got pregnant early on, that was kind of still the expectation as we moved through our relationship, especially just moving in together. But then, when I told him, I was like, I actually don't think I can do this time. I want to keep it. And we weren't on the same page for a bit, and it was hard. We went to a doctor's appointment together and looked at, and it was for abortion. It was like to talk about like how we would go about getting an abortion. And I just broke down in the office. I was like, I don't know what's wrong. I just can't do it. I can't do it, And so we had to have some really tough conversations after that. Yeah.
yeah. What was your own individual process like on your own and then coming back together? Because you're here now and came to some decision. So, what was that like?
For me, it kind of felt like I just knew I was doing this no matter what, like whether people supported it or not. You know, I was going to have this baby either as co-parents or together. Like, it just felt like this was happening. And so that's kind of where I was at individually.
It seems like you have a strong intuition.
Yeah.
What about you, Garrett?
Yeah, I mean, in the beginning, it was, since we were at that conflict, it was really rough, and it was looking at my own experience being that faced with that decision of like, okay, am I gonna step up? Like, what future do I want to have? And it was tearing us apart. So the idea of breaking up was definitely on the table. Of like, hey, can we really do this? Like, is this, caught us quite by surprise, and not being on the same page there. And I looked at that of like, all right, if we don't stay together, she's going to move to Florida, and we're going to have
Florida.
New York. Why did I say Florida? New York. You said
Florida's on the mind.
Moving to Florida.
I'd like to just say that we were on very little sleep, so which is going to be great.
Florida's
for the next time.
where I went to college, but my family's in New York, so I was thinking about going back to New York there for a minute.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Which was really hard. I mean, so it was like we went from not talking seriously about things to being like scary real about like the actuality of things. Like, okay, is this going to work? If it doesn't work, like, what does that look like? And if this does work, what does that look like? And it's really hard to be really logistical about something when it's like, yes, I love you. I've been in love with you. We've been through a lot of turmoil, like one thing after another in our relationship. It's by no means a smooth relationship. And I think we just started couples therapy just to prepare ourselves for the kid. Like, we've been in a good spot. And I think that was a really good takeaway is like, wow, we've been through a lot of hardships and we've consistently prevailed. So to me, I guess this kind of reiterates that of like looking at the future. Do I want a future with you? Do I want a future raising our daughter? Or do I want a future, being me and doing me and just kind of living selfishly and reactively? And part of me was really excited and part of me was terrified. Like, that's cliche as it is. But I really wanted that future. So I think there was a lot of relief, but it happened slowly. Like, you know what, we're doing this, and still took a while to really show like I'm in this. This is happening.
Yeah. It's both like a long time, those 10 months, but it's also like you're under a time pressure to also have an abortion if you want to have one. So yeah, this just shows how there's so much that happens with your next door neighbors that you don't know about, right? I'm so grateful that you guys are sharing so honestly.
And it's so nice that it brought you two closer ultimately. And I love that you're in couples therapy to prepare. I feel like I'm all about that. Like, get ahead of it. I feel like I wish more people utilize therapy in that way.
Yeah, we don't want to end up like our parents, like at all.
Love you guys. If you're listening to this, parents, you guys are amazing.
We're both kids of divorce, so I mean, it's like
me too.
I think a big part of a lot of relationships and all of this is just communication, and like everyone has different ways of communicating, and we definitely do.
Yeah,
and so we just want to get it right for Gianna.
Yeah, It takes a lot of practice to speak someone else's communication language.
Yeah.
And you haven't had the easiest pregnancy, too. Like you've had some.
Oh my God, yeah, I forgot.
that you've had to have difficult conversations about, too.
I know, yeah, it was like one thing after another. I almost forgot that we were going through all that in the beginning, too. Like, once we figured out, okay, we're going to do this, and then we were really excited, and then another, road bump.
Water on the brain.
You want us to talk about it?
Yeah, sure.
If you want to talk about it.
There was something else before that, though.
Oh, God, yeah, you had twins. You had twins.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, when I first, I think it was the first ultrasound, I went in, and they called me back with the results, and they said that there was, what was it called? Chorionic bump. A chorionic bump that could lead to hemorrhaging. And it was like a big size. And I like called the nurses at Kaiser and I was like, hey, I see this in my chart. What does this mean? They're like, we have no idea. Like, we've never seen this. And I was like,
that's comforting.
Yeah, great. Awesome. Cool. And so I was trying to get in touch with my doctor, but she wasn't there. And so I got in touch with another doctor, and another doctor was like, yeah, I'm not sure. And I was like, what? Why does nobody know what this is? And then finally we went in and we asked the doctor, and she was like, so this is something that we're researching right now. It's coming up like in other early detecting ultrasound tests, right? Or something. And they like just went to a conference about it and just researched it. And apparently it's what happens when a twin embryo goes back into the uterus. And
It's like absorbed.
It's
absorbed.
reabsorbed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, which is crazy because my mom had the same thing happen.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Had you known that, like with you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, with me. Yeah,
Wow.
there was a twin.
So it's
I had a
genetic.
twin. And then,
having
yeah.
that.
And then the doctors told her, like later on in the pregnancy, that she had something similar. I guess now they just have the medical term for it.
Did you know that before you experienced this yourself? Okay.
Yep. Yeah. So everything I've like told my mom about this pregnancy, she's like, wow, it's the same as when I was pregnant with you. It's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
You turned out okay. I like you.
But we were kind of like, everyone that we've told about like a twin embryo going back has been like, oh, I'm so sorry. And we were like, no, this is great.
Yeah.
One's enough. And then things went okay for a bit. And then the second ultrasound, the full anatomy scan, that was scary. I was at work teaching and I had a voicemail and it said like 5 minutes long, and the results, something on the brain. And so I was freaking out. I called back and they were like, so it turns out that her left ventricle is dilated too big. And so that means there could be fluid getting onto the brain. And as soon as she started talking about this, I'm just like blacking out.
Yeah.
Like I'm just like not even processing what she's saying. And I was like, what are you talking about? And she was just like, so, we don't have to, we can worry about it when we look at it closer. We want to bring you in for another anatomy scan, which is like an hour, And I called Garrett just like panicking in a full panic. I was like, I don't know what they're talking about. Can you listen to this voicemail? Can you call them? I'm at work. And I left work crying that day. That was like the second to last day of school with the middle school that I worked at. And we had to go back in the next day. And I missed the last day of school with the kids. And yeah, that was really sad. And we just kind of had to wait to see what that was, They measured it again. And then we were in high risk. And then we saw a doctor who's apparently like one of the best doctors at Kaiser in the country. And he was just like, oh, it's nothing. It's fine. But
What a roller coaster.
Yeah. And so for like a couple weeks, we were just so stressed out. And then to find out it's, her ventricle was actually measuring just fine. The first anatomy scan measured it wrong.
Yeah. So you had like these like 2 or 3 weeks where you had to prepare for some scenario of like a neurological issue after birth right? And how did you navigate those conversations? And then to find out everything's fine.
Yep.
Were you angry or like you had to go through so much worry?
Yeah. For those
And then the other test.
2-3 weeks. What other test?
Then the glucose test.
Oh, yeah. Well, so the 2 to 3 weeks between both anatomy scans, it was the possibilities we were told were, I forget the name of it. She was basically,
Hydrocephalus.
yeah.
The water on the brain.
Yeah. And she said like, yeah, there would be no development, not viable. And you would have to probably get a medical abortion like sooner than later. So we want to find that out very soon, if that's the case.
This was based on a different test?
This was based on that first full anatomy scan. We had the results with the dilated ventricle.
And that's one person, an ultrasound technician, taking the image, and then somebody else is looking at that. So it's based on one person's opinion.
Well, the second anatomy scan we went was another doctor, right? A female that came in, and she was still measuring it like kind of big. Like she was like, it's kind of almost not where we want it to be.
Few factors at play, which is really ironic. I don't want to say names. I work with an the ultrasound company, and the first scan is because I called my friend who's in a pediatrician, and she's saying that, oh, hey, this is a new thing due to ultrasound imaging. We can now see things we previously couldn't, so we don't have names, or like, you weren't meant to see that, and it would have been fine. for like other pregnancies. So it was like, oh, we now see that and it's a big flag. Like, there's a blood clot. Like, what is this? So, and maybe on previous ultrasounds, if you could see it, then it was bad. And now it's like, oh, that just happens. So there's that. And then this time it was a measuring thing. We were right past the strict parameters that just like the glucose test, there's strict parameters. And if you're over that by, that much, you're now in high risk. You're now this and that. That was one scan. We had 3. And that was the positioning. That was the imaging of whatever. It was just over the parameters. And then every other scan was fine. So they just had to play it safe for, I don't know, legal reasons or whatever, but kind of all ultrasound related.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow. You went through a real journey together of ups and downs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was probably the scariest one, was that second ultrasound.
I think the diabetes was just this, sugar on top.
I think you and Johnny were outside of our house when I was crying in the car about
Y'all calmed us down.
Yeah, so what happened was we were going on a walk and we saw you in the car and we immediately knew like something was up, and Johnny said hi to you and you were like,
thumbs down.
He's like, how are you guys? And you just gave a thumbs down, and then we just kept going because, yeah.
We were not giving off the vibe of come talk to us. It was like, hey, Johnny, not doing well. We'll talk later.
But you've had so many moments of that during the pregnancy.
Wow, what a journey.
Yeah, it's been hard. It's been a hard one.
Can I ask if you had any thought of, like, if I was considering abortion at the very start and then something like this happened, like before you find out things are fine, I probably honestly would have had a thought like, man, maybe I should have, did you have that thought?
No, not exactly. I just remember feeling like, after the tough phone call, I was having a really hard time, I feel like, with the idea of having to get an abortion. Still, yeah. All the things that they told us it could be, like, they said even best case scenario was that she would have some developmental issues, like, as she got older. Like, there was, like, that was the best case scenario, is that no matter what, there's going to be some developmental issue, like as a learner or something, or the way she processes or the way she, like, moves. There's going to be something because of that part of the brain. And so it was just like, my mind kind of went to like, okay, how am I going to show up as a parent in this world with a kid with Down syndrome? Like, it was still like not ready to let go of her,
But you were preparing for a life with a baby that had high needs. How did you talk about that in the 2 weeks? Like, were you, like, what was your own internal process on your own, and then talking about that together?
Yeah, it kind of felt like, oh, this is our luck, right? It was just like, of course.
Did you internalize that as like how to define your relationship?
Yeah, like it felt like I messed up. Like we messed up. I felt like I did something wrong. Like I was like, what have I been eating? What did I do? Did I, I just kept thinking like I did this. And the doctor was like, there's no way, there's nothing you did to cause this. This is just these things just happen.
Chance.
Yeah. But I was like, yeah, I guess that did pop in my head a little bit of like, I made this decision, I chose to keep her, and now this is where it's at. So
that's so hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of self-blame when you're, already going through so many other emotions too, like you're still pregnant.
Yeah. There's a lot of guilt that comes with everything in pregnancy. Everything.
Takes over your life and your body.
Yeah. Is there anything more that you want to say, Garrett?
Yeah, I don't think we talked a whole lot about what if worst case scenarios. It was probably
trying to stay positive.
Yeah, I think just a lot of
How do you
internal.
stay positive?
I don't even know. I think that was a kind of a shift in our relationship. I feel like that's when we started to get a lot closer.
Well, I think part of that was the idea of, from the second one, it didn't sound like a special needs child as much. So I don't know if I really internalized personally that fear. It's happening or it's not, with the water on the brain is what I thought. And that was kind of a big shift for me of like, getting so, accepting that internally in myself, after being conflicted with this and like really accepting that, I was really invested in that. And at the same time, I was like, man, if this doesn't happen, like, I know that was a surprise, but why not do this again? I just feel like there's a shift once accepting that. Mm-hmm. So I think, and that reassurance for Jules of like, okay, no, we're in this together. So.
Yeah, it brought you a lot closer, you said.
Mm-hmm. Do you feel like the challenges sort of made you feel like parents already much more quickly than you expected?
Yeah.
I feel like it seems like you really felt like you wanted to protect your kid already with having so little control, and that happened so quickly.
Yeah, the mom instincts kicked in very early. Like, little by little, I started to feel like I'm already a mom. Just like little decisions we've made, or like just like boundaries with people, just like just little things. I'm just like, okay, yeah, this is mom mode. This is happening. And then I think, yeah, after we found out the results that day, I remember we went on a hike, and we just went on a hike together in complete silence. And I feel like we never did that. Do you remember?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right
After hearing that things were all good.
No.
Oh, after.
Bad.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
after like the bad news, we were like, I just like wanted to get our minds off of it, and we just went on a hike. I think that was the first hike that I struggled on too. As a pregnant person, I was like, wow, this is hard. And it was just like a challenging hike. It was a lot of silence, but it was like lingering in the air that we might have to either get an abortion at this point, or our kid might turn out, a way we didn't expect. It's just like a lot of thoughts going on. And I feel like since then that's the shift I remember in our relationship of feeling like parents and getting closer. And yeah, everything else seemed not important anymore. Like this seemed like the most important thing in the world.
Yeah. Had you ever received news like that before? In either of your lives?
I don't think so.
Like life threatening.
Yeah, like really really serious life altering news like that. Yeah, life threatening, I guess too. Yeah. Where you have to make a decision, you're like the one responsible for having to decide what to do.
I don't even do that in my own life for the longest time. Yeah.
I think so.
This big shift, I feel like.
Yeah. You said you had to do that then in your pregnancy, because that comes after the baby, like during birth and afterwards. You have a lot of decisions like that. So you have a jump start, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But it seems like things have settled a bit.
Oh, yeah.
More recently.
After we saw it. So the third doctor in all this, the one I was referring to before that we heard was like the best, and he reviewed our results with us. He was just like, everything's fine. And we're like, okay. He's like, you can breathe and you can enjoy your pregnancy and you can get out of high risk and go back to your original midwife. And I was like, okay. I mean, like, we were kind of pissed like that we had went through all that for nothing. But it definitely felt like that's when we started to enjoy the pregnancy more. Yeah.
Where did you direct your anger?
I don't even know. I don't even think we were that angry after
Just
that. We were
radical
just
acceptance at that point.
so excited that she's going to be okay, that it was hard to feel angry. I don't know. Yeah.
How have you been spending your time enjoying the pregnancy since then? Have you done any nesting or just...
I mean, I was enjoying it because that was still second trimester, and second trimester was awesome. And I was a teacher, so I had the summer off. And so it was just like, okay, time to do me. And just like, I went on walks, I went on hikes, I went on runs, and just like had a lot of time to myself, was reading different books and listening to podcasts and getting ready, and set up the nursery. Nursery is really cute, all ready to go. Planning baby showers, and then third trimester hit. It was a whole new experience.
I feel like we have to mention, just for any moms to be struggling out there in the second trimester for the glow up, when she would go on walks or runs, she went far or not far. And it was hell when she came home. So I think you remember like, oh my God, I was doing all this stuff. I had so much energy and now I don't. It's like, no, you had all that energy and you'd suffer afterwards. And I'd look at you like, well, why did you go 10 miles? You knew it was going to hurt. And you were a go-getter.
Sometimes I would push it. Yeah. I would push it a little bit. Like the pelvic area, like when you're running or walking, you don't feel it. But then at the end of the day, you're like, oh, my muscles are sore. Yeah. But muscles being sore in pregnancy is just 10 times worse than just regular soreness.
We have all these other hormones that make you feel like you can do all of that stuff and energetic and yeah. And then you realize,
they trick you.
Yeah. What is the hormone that's relaxin? Where it
oxytocin?
There's
relaxin makes everything all loose. Probably why the muscles hurt more.
Yeah.
The tendons are working hard to hold everything up.
Baths helped that. I took a lot of baths.
I have a question for you, Garrett. As the person not carrying your baby, like, how do I want to phrase this? Like, what's it like having your baby somewhere else? And like, would you do things differently if you had the baby than you? Like, how is that as the partner?
Oh man, I can't speak on that. One bit. Yeah. Wouldn't do things better. I know that. I feel so selfish. It's so fun. Like, I get to hold the baby. I get to feel the kicks. I get, I don't envy you.
You don't have all the symptoms.
I feel awful. Like, I guess that's part of it is, it's super nice just watching this grow and having no personal consequence to it. But I definitely feel guilty. And I don't know, it's like, I want to be there to help. And I guess a lot of times, and I've heard this from other sources, is like not knowing what to do to help, but wanting to help. And also not wanting to say, because I heard that's not helpful to be like, what do you need? So just trying to like bring random things to you, which half the time I put whipped cream on her watermelon once or something like that.
Oh, God.
I don't know. I try to be fancy about some things.
Was that something you craved at one point?
No, I craved watermelon. And it was first trimester and sweets were not my thing. Like I couldn't eat sweets. And I remember he was trying to be cute one morning and like put whipped cream on watermelon. I was like, I can't. I'm going to throw up.
Oh.
Apparently it's not actually a thing. This is interesting. I was just recently, I had the idea of put watermelon or whipped cream on watermelon. And my mom showed me in the storage unit a baby book I had of like the Looney Tunes. And I looked in these pictures and a core memory just stuck out. And there was watermelon with whipped cream on it and the little baby Looney Tunes. I'm like, oh shit, that's where it came from. And like this came, 29 years later, and I'm suddenly deciding, oh, you're pregnant. I'm up with whipped cream on your watermelon because that looked so good as a kid. And
you've got baby on the brain.
I guess so.
Subconsciousness.
Yeah. He's definitely like tried a lot of different things and tried to figure out best way to be supportive. And food is definitely the key. Food and the cooking has been a big part of that.
Yeah.
But as far as could I do it better, I mean, I'm really competitive, so probably not.
Yeah, I asked that because I know that's come up between Johnny and I. Like sometimes he would probably not make some decisions that I did. Like I wanted to go on a really long hike once, like camping, and he was like, "Why no?" Because it was in the middle of nowhere. So he wondered, like, where would you go if you needed help? But it was during the second trimester, so I felt like I had all this energy and could do it. But, yeah.
Plus, I'm sure you're, being taken over by your body. So that's like one way of being like, I'm capable. I'm still me. I can still do what I want to do.
That's what it is. You want to like still feel like you can do things. It's like a competition with yourself almost. I'm just like, I don't want to feel like I'm not useful anymore just because I'm pregnant. Because it is weird.
Capable.
Capable. Once you're showing up as a pregnant person in spaces, I feel like people do treat you differently.
Of course.
Or you just can't like do the things everyone else is doing. So you get in your head a little bit. Yeah, it turns into a 10-mile run.
Well, you want to still feel like you have a sense of autonomy and agency.
Definitely.
yeah, your body's changing faster than you're able to keep up with it. And what has that been like for you, to your body changing and body image?
Oh, it was hard. I feel like I'm now in a better place of acceptance with everything, because third trimester, you kind of just have to be. But it was really hard. Yeah, like I felt like I went to the gym a couple times during second trimester, and I was like, man, it's hard. It's hard to like show up and see like all these like hot bodies around and doing things and like able to lift and stuff. And I'm just like, oh, I really miss that. I really miss being able to do that. Or just, yeah, I don't know, just showing up as like a larger person than I was, or clothes not fitting right. That's been the hardest thing, is like, oh my God, I can't wear any of the cute clothes I was wearing. Nothing fits me the way I wanted to. So, and then trying to figure out, and then once you figure it out, you're like, that doesn't work anymore either. So it's like a constant change.
Always changing.
Yeah.
Well, now that we're getting closer to your due date, do you guys have a birth plan?
Yes, we do. We have a doula, which is Garrett's sister-in-law. She gifted it to us, which was really sweet.
Oh, that's amazing.
Thank you, Rashida.
Yeah, Rashida's awesome.
So it's your sister-in-law who's a doula. Oh, okay. I thought that she gifted you a doula.
Oh no, she's the doula.
Gifted
She is
herself.
yeah.
She is the gift.
Gift of
And
presents.
she's a great gift.
She's amazing. Yeah. Because we like, I mean, through Kaiser, we have like free birth classes. They've been okay. They're just like on Zoom Saturday mornings for like 3 hours, but I feel like we get kind of bored in them.
You're grinning right now, Garrett. What are you saying? What is
No,
this?
they've been very scientifically informative. That being said,
Yeah.
yeah, not entirely what we were looking for, nor do I feel like we've really, yeah.
I was expecting like in person. When I think of a birth class, like you see in movies, I think of like
Connecting with
being,
moms.
yeah, like being in a circle with other pregnant partners, and like a yoga ball, and like practicing things and breathing exercises. And this was kind of like just a Zoom webinar, you know? And so I was just, a little disappointed.
We've also only been to 2, so shout out to, we also missed the last one. I'm sure
Missed the last one.
that was a little more hands-on, maybe. I don't want to discourage anyone.
You're
Yeah.
seeking more of like this emotional connection and support and a sense of community with other people going through this too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you found that elsewhere?
With Rashida, with our doula, she came over just last week and showed us some exercises, and we practiced doing them together with the yoga ball. And that was like, okay, yes, now I know. And we practiced the ice with the ice. Do you know what that is?
Yeah, I've done that.
So that was cool. So now I know like where my limits are. And
That's for like testing your pain tolerance.
yes. Yeah. And like what helped me through that was just Garrett holding me, or just like certain positions for relief. And
Like when my eyes would drip onto you from me holding it. Yeah.
Oh, you did it too.
Oh,
we both did it.
Very competitive.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's been great. And she's also very informative.
Yeah. And she's coming to your house, and
Yep.
yeah, that just feels so much more
Yeah.
intimate to have someone there with you.
And who knows you and loves you. I mean, it was just a best case scenario. So
And she'll be there. She'll be at the birth.
Yeah.
And so we did our birth plan with her, and then brought it to the doctor and went over it with her too.
What are some of your birth preferences?
Yeah. So I don't know why, but ever since, I feel like since I was a little girl, like I've thought about birth, and I've always had a fear of the epidural since I was little. Like, I don't know if that's normal. I don't, if you ever felt that.
Oh yeah.
I don't know why. It's like a thing that it was put into my head at a young age that like, you can get paralyzed, you can injure your spine. It's a really painful process. It's worse than like, I don't know. I've always had it in my head that epidurals were scary.
Do you know where that came from? That fear?
No, I think like, I don't know when I was told these stories about an epidural, that I had such a fear of it my whole life growing up. And so I was like nervous to even talk about an epidural with the doctor. And just with other people too, I've been asking questions about like, how was the epidural for them? And so we've heard a lot of different things. And so the ultimate decision was that I would try other pain relief, before getting the epidural, but that is still on the table. Yeah.
Yeah, I also had a similar like anti-epidural and other things too. And I remember in the moment when I really needed it, I was so grateful that something like that. And I was like, what did I have against this?
Yes,
This is
yeah.
amazing.
Seems like that's
I
a
can
common
breath.
thing,
a
yeah.
common response.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've also been told from some friends who recently had babies that it didn't work, or it only worked on one side of their body, or they had to do it 3 times.
Is this the conversation you had with my friend at the garage sale yesterday?
She was one of them. She said that they had to put the epidural in 3 times, didn't go in the first 2 times correctly.
Yeah.
And that it was super painful. And I have another friend who said her contractions were so strong she didn't feel it at all. You know, there's just so many different stories about it.
And that's the power of a narrative that's instilling that sense of fear, because it happened to that one person, it's going to happen to me, and I don't want to do that. And we need more like positive
I know.
stories. Yeah, to counterbalance that.
Yeah. I think, I forgot what I was going to say. Something about the epidural. Oh, I think my doctor at Kaiser told us, right? Or was it Rashida? About
Both of them.
both of them. About
Last resort is what they said.
using it as a last resort. Yeah, because if you get it, it can make labor go on for longer, and it makes pushing harder, and it can often result in a C-section. And so there was also like, coming from a doctor and a doula, it was like, oh, why would I get the epidural? But of course, in the moment when you're in so much pain, that is often what we opt for.
Yeah.
But they said to try a list of things before the epidural. So we have the bathtub, we have nitrous,
Oxide.
fentanyl, and then epidural.
Yeah. And do you have like an agreement between the two of you, or your birth team, where you say it once or twice or at 3 times, then you know that you really want that?
I think the plan is to do all the things first, and then
In that order, but yeah,
In
as
that
soon as you
order.
say you want it,
it's on.
it's your body.
Yes.
Yeah. I will say that in that moment, you forget what your preferences are.
Yes, that's what I've heard.
And you're operating from a more, primal part of your brain. So just anything goes. So maybe 3
have a
times or a safe word or something might be helpful.
Yeah, we should come up with one.
I mean, you
Or
have
not.
me and Rashida, so I think we're going to be able to be like, hey, we skipped a couple steps. Let's
Yeah.
try.
The biggest part of the birth plan for me is just having him and Rashida there, because I feel like they will advocate for me. They'll know, it's like,
That's huge.
it is. Yeah. I wish.
love you. We
I
got
hope
you.
everyone has that going into birth.
But here's a question. Does an advocate advocate for what you want right now as you sit here, or what you want in the moment?
I hope in the moment, because I have a feeling like I'm already having those Braxton Hicks contractions. And when I have those and they're pretty painful, I'm like, yep, I'm definitely going to want an epidural. Like, I can already feel my mind shifting.
I feel like I know you're. It's not going to be like, oh no, just hold it out kind of thing. It's going to be like, yep, give it to her right now.
It's like what
it
you
hurts.
said, following your intuition. You're an intuitive person, so you trust that. Yeah.
And when you make that decision, that means the benefits will outweigh the risks of it for you.
Yeah.
And it'll feel right.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like you have a problem with making a decision that feels right to you.
Nope.
She does not.
I'll ask you, Garrett, what are you most excited about with just thinking about the whole birth in general?
Oh, the birth. I was like, daddy-daughter dates, hands down. I'm so excited about
The birth and beyond. Yeah, I love that.
Yes, I'm definitely ready for that.
Oh,
The birth. Yeah, I don't know if there's anything to be not excited. Well, yes, I guess the excitement, the fact of it is exciting to the idea of we go in that hospital with 2, and it sounds so generic, but we leave as a family. We're going there as a couple, and we're leaving as a family. And that, like, we were writing thank you cards for our showers. And I think I wrote it to my mom. My mom's card was like the first little epiphany I had of like, oh, hey, thank you so much. This is going to be great for our family or something. I wrote that down on paper. I'm like, whoa, this is who we are now. It's you and me and little G. So I don't know. I guess that's the excitement.
And Mila.
And me.
The cat.
We almost got rid of that cat, by the way.
And now it has a little cute catio.
Yes, me and the cat are doing
We
good.
did almost get rid of her when we found out we were pregnant, but
Vicious. She got fangs. And,
That's hard, yeah.
we'll make it work.
but yeah. So what I'm most excited about is, I guess, leaving that. Yeah, I don't know. I've worked in hospitals and I'm not too excited. I'm not going to be like, oh well, look at the birth. It's I'll be there, and my job basically for there to me is like, okay, support Jules in any way possible. The rest, like sleeping on a cot, I don't really care or whatever. It's okay. Just let's get out of there.
Yeah.
In all the time you need.
How do you feel about birth? What are your feelings?
I'm a little nervous. Yeah, as it gets closer, I feel nervous. I think a lot of it has to do with all the traumatic birth stories that I've heard. Like just getting in my head about like, oh my God, what could go wrong? And so I've been trying to listen in and lean into more positive birth stories. Or just remind myself that like everyone's is unique and whatever happens, and either way, we're going to be okay. Was that the cat?
Yeah.
Hi, Richard. Yeah.
Yeah. On the podcast, we always ask our guests if they have any advice for someone about to give birth. And one piece of advice, I felt like mentioning this just based on what you just said, was to let your birth surprise you. Trying to be prepared for anything might cause anxiety, but of course, to take the time to think about all the different things that might happen, but then be able to sort of set those aside, and like give yourself space for possibilities that you might not even be able to anticipate. Does that resonate with you?
Definitely. Yep. Yeah. Just being willing and open-minded to things. Definitely. I feel like a huge part of my fears being calmed down going into birth is knowing that I have support and people I feel safe with. I feel like that's huge. The community has been like the best part about being pregnant, knowing other pregnant people and meeting Sophie and Johnny, like meeting other parents, and yeah, just having a ton of support around, I think is important. I don't know if anyone doing this alone would be really hard. Yeah.
It sort of gives you the space to relax into it, like feel like other people can sort of hold you up so that you can just face what happens.
Yeah. I just want to make sure, like, number one thing is whatever is safest for the baby, safest for me and baby, but mostly like,
You're important.
how is she going to come out into this world the safest is what I will do. Yeah.
Is there anything, like, how are you, because you're going to be parents pretty soon and your whole life changes overnight pretty much. How are you enjoying the time together as, a family of two with Mila? Is there anything, like, you're trying to, I know you went like hunting recently and you guys are going on lots of little trips together.
We have stayed busy.
Yeah.
And just we've planned a lot of things with friends and with each other, like date nights. We've really made sure that we have like a date night once a week. And the stuff that we're doing with friends, making sure that we also have our recovery community. I don't know if you want to talk about that too. If that's okay. Okay, yeah. So we're both in recovery, and that's like a huge part of us as individuals and as a couple. That's how we met. But like making sure that we have that community in place and that those supports in place has been really important. Like going to meetings and staying in contact with those friends, having a sponsor, and then the family therapist that we have too. So we're just making sure we have all of our ducks in a row, all of our supports. And
Are you condoning duck hunting right now?
no. and our individual hobbies. Like, yeah.
What did you say? Are you condoning duck hunting right
I
now?
said something about ducks. I've
Ducks
been
in
asking
a
her
row.
about duck hunting lately.
He goes duck hunting usually in November.
October through
October, November. And yeah, the other day it was like, so yeah, duck hunting. And I was like, maybe we'll wait and see how it goes with the baby. Maybe don't leave me for a weekend right now,
That's so funny. My dad actually was planning to go on a hunting trip the week that I was born.
Really?
But he I was early, so he didn't.
Oh my God. That's what I was afraid of this weekend when he was away. But
We had a satellite communicator. I was
did.
an hour away.
Oh, you got one?
Oh,
I didn't get one, but my buddy had
An
one.
hour's not bad.
It was not. It was not bad.
Yeah.
Sophie Island is also.
and then his duck hunting's really close too. Sophie's Island. But yeah.
Do you mentioned making a lot of plans. Are you planning to slow down here soon? Or are you feeling like
feels like we
you feel like
can't.
you want to keep going?
I do want to keep going. Like I'm ready. As soon as he got home, I was like, so we should ask Johnny and Sophie if they want to go apple picking this weekend. Like I just want to keep doing things. And I love the fall. I love October. And it's like usually when I want to do the most. And so it's going to be hard for me if I physically can't. I feel like I'm going to feel like this is the last month of us as just a family of two. And I really want to enjoy it. And I feel like I also need to rest. So it's hard.
Yeah, it sounds really hard.
Yeah.
I feel like I would feel all of those things too.
Yeah. We're gonna try though.
We should go apple picking, though.
We should. Yeah.
Is there, let's imagine like future, Jules and Garrett are sitting here. Like, what would you want the parent in the future to know? Like right now, like if you could tell yourself something or tell each other something.
Oh, that's really cute. Oh my God, I don't know why I just got so emotional. All these hormones. I would want to say to us that you're going to be great parents and that you've come a long way and I think that I see Garrett and Jules as future parents as being really fun and just really caring and also balancing each other because I imagine me being the worry parent who really wants everything to be safe and calm all the time, and Garrett wanting to have fun, and do a lot of things. And I think just leaning into each other. That's the advice I would want to give them: is lean into each other, listen to each other, and make decisions as a team and as a family. Yeah.
Note for future, Garrett, do not forget to date Jules. Very important. So
That's a
even
good
as
one.
family.
That is a good one.
Yeah.
That's really touching. Yeah.
I love that.
What do you think Garrett already has right now that will help him be a parent and vice versa?
Oh man, Jules has so many benefits. I'm almost jealous. She is a middle school teacher, and now she is the restorative justice coordinator for a middle school. So just, hard job. She decided to make it a little harder. Dealing with
middle school's hard.
and now she's dealing with like the kids like I was, like dealing with the hardest kids with the hardest parents. Oh my god, yeah.
Middle
So
school's tough.
your patience, your caring, your academics, wanting to read. I think you're going to be really good at that and excel at nurturing her intellect as well as being patient with her in all aspects with there and very loving. And I think you're definitely going to still prioritize making sure we get our dates in. And I love that and I think you'll be really supportive of me and making sure, I mean, you know me, you know the things I need or else, I lose my mind and I stop being me. So I think you're very supportive, like, Garrett, get out of the house for a second. I can do this. So
Get on your motorcycle.
get on the
Gone.
bike.
Come back.
Just not too fast. Thank you.
Love you.
Love you. Yeah. What is that? I'm trying to think of that saying. Is it a jack of all trades? Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Garrett has a lot of skills. Like I just feel like knows how to do a lot of different things. Like he's outdoorsy, just fixes things around the house. So that's like a huge one for me because I'm more of the person where if it stops working, I'm just going to give it away and get a new one. So there's just like little things I feel like he's really good at. And the outdoorsy factor is a big one because I've always wanted to raise kids like being outdoorsy. And I didn't grow up like that. I grew up in New York, it was just different. Like the camping and the swamp stories that I've heard about Garrett as a
I
child.
caught a newt this week and I want to
of
show
course.
you.
Every time we go on a hike, he's just like stopping and he knows everything and the snakes and the frogs and the.
Did you touch it with your bare hands?
He does. Oh my God,
They're
yes.
poisonous.
Yeah, don't
He touches
eat them.
everything.
Oh, if you eat them, that's why?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, never mind. I learned something new then
No
from
risk
you.
of us eating them.
I'm not eating a newt anytime soon.
Okay, then you're chilling.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Good to know.
Well, that too, the fearlessness. Like he just has no fear, and I want our kid to feel like she doesn't have to fear either, and like being outdoorsy is like a natural thing for her because it's not for me. Like this. Okay, yeah, the spiders in the shower. I will like scream, panic, and Garrett's just like, we can't let Gianna, pick that up. We gotta be strong for her. Like,
Give it
you're
to
right.
shit about that. I'm like, listen, she's gonna look to us. If you say that's scary, then she's gonna think that's scary. That's not scary.
Yeah.
You're just bringing a really good balance.
Yes. And then the other parts are how you take care of me. Like just since we've been together, he's just always taken care of me. Cooking, cleaning. I mean, we both do our share, but I just feel like I can depend on him for a lot of things. So I feel like as a parent, he's going to be able to show up in a lot of ways and show her how to bake because I don't know how to bake. And yeah, I just think he's going to be like number one dad for sure. Yeah.
Oh, you guys are so sweet.
I love this.
Do you want to ask?
I personally feel like I could talk to you guys all day long. I feel like I love your story and I love hearing about your journey. And I'm really excited to hear more things after you have a third person in your family. It's going to be really exciting to get to see you again. But we're coming close to the end of the episode, so we'll go ahead and ask you the two questions that we ask everybody. We sort of change them a bit for someone who's pregnant rather than someone who's given birth.
And we'll ask you these again the next episode.
Okay.
So I know you haven't given birth yet, but do you have a piece of advice you would give to someone else who is about to give birth?
Yeah, I think the support piece is important, and community. I almost went and did went to a rabbit hole last night of YouTube videos of live births, and I was like, I'm not going to do that because I have people who are going to be there to support me.
Well, of the YouTube video of what?
Of like live births, so I can get an
Did you
idea.
know about that?
Like you can watch live births on YouTube.
Okay, why?
Exactly. I'm glad I didn't because I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to go into it willing and accepting and open-minded, and knowing that I have people in the room who are going to support me, I feel like is huge. So I would say that's the advice I would give to anyone about to give birth is just to have your people around. And yeah.
Can I ask a follow-up question on that? Mm-hmm. You've talked about radical acceptance, and I wonder if that comes from going to AA and if that's a big part of that. How has what you've already learned in AA and like your journey around sobriety helped prepare you for something like birth or parenthood?
Yeah, I feel like it's helped us with everything. I mean, for me personally, it's helped me with how to communicate my needs, how to just be more accepting of things that come up in life, be willing to try new things, push past fears, not stay resentful or angry. Like there's so many things that the program like teaches you that I think have definitely benefited both our relationship, becoming parents, the pregnancy, and then just who we are as individuals. It's definitely a huge part of our lives. So yeah.
Yeah.
The community, sorry. The community piece I think is huge. Having that community, and then also realizing like community of moms, community of pregnant people. And it's always benefited to have community around. So
I 100% agree. So yeah, I think a lot of tools there. I mean, if it wasn't for it, well, it's hard to even picture my life without that. It's helped me in so many ways. I grew up in those rooms in a way. But yeah, just living by like, okay, the principles that I have been taught in that program has shaped like how I want to show up. Like, thinking about what kind of man do I want to be? What kind of person do I want to be? How like taking ownership of my own life and combating a lot of my intuition is not as nice, I guess. So it's like combating my own intuition, like, oh, well, like, this isn't what I want. It's like, okay, but what person do you want to be? And yeah, and I live my life very reactively, naturally, and that has cost me so many things in life, so many consequences. I was just talking to Sponsi about that yesterday. So having these tools, working through everything in my life, I mean, we could talk about that forever, but yeah, how it's helped us prepare us for today. I don't know, it's like it's helped us prepare us for who we are right now, and just a little manual moving forward. Like, okay, I'm really resentful right now. I got like 3 people I can call that I should call. You know, it's like, do I want to use those tools or not? So yeah, it's definitely something we really lean into, of whether it's the practices, the principles, the people, the whatever. Big help.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, there's so much along fertility journey and pregnancy and birth and in parenthood where, you know, with the lack of sleep and like all the things, like it's so easy to react right away, and it's so hard to choose not to react and remember your tools and skills. And I just think about you two on that hike, like silently processing, and where you are now. You've come so far just in this journey together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We also went on a hike one time that was super silent. ADD's kicking in, remind me of, we were supposed to have snowshoes, didn't have snowshoes. We went off trail, and I was having time of my life. It was great. It was kind of way too snowy. She wasn't pregnant or anything, but it took a long time to get back from this hike, and it was like, you know, chest high snow every step of the way. It was hard. It was fun. On the way back, we didn't talk to each other. Big mad. And she is still with me.
And then we had burgers and ate, and I was like, oh, I love you.
That was so much fun. Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Sometimes you just have to be together silently.
Yes.
And resentfully.
I'll ask both of you, if you want to answer this one. What's something that makes you laugh about your pregnancy experience or in anticipation to being a parent?
Do you want to answer it on 3? Or?
You go first.
No, you go first.
I would be amazed if you both said the same thing on 3.
Wait, so can you repeat the question?
Sure. What's something that makes you laugh about either your pregnancy experience or just about being in anticipation of being a parent?
You want to try just first thing that comes to mind on 3? 1, 2, 3. Poking her belly button. Okay.
Do you have is it out?
No, it's not out yet. Everyone says it's supposed to go out, but it's not. Oh, almost. Wow.
It's different for everyone.
Almost there.
And then it shrinks back in. It's even bigger, like the hole. It's weird.
Well, something that makes me laugh, I think, is the symptoms that have shown up that have made me a lot more comfortable in front of Garrett. Like, he has seen it all now. He has seen throwing up, peeing, just every.
You peed on me the other day.
I did. I peed on him on accident.
Bed or where? Like,
Just on him, on his leg, I think.
He was like sitting on my lap being all romantic, and she like coughed or breathed wrong, and all of a sudden, and she just looks at me like,
Oh my God.
I peed. I'm like, what?
Oh my God. Just like, all the silly things. I just, your body is just constantly doing things you don't expect it to. Just like, yeah. I'd say that looking back, that's been what we can laugh at is just, all the silly little things that have come with pregnancy and the stories that we can tell now and laugh about is just really nice. Like, when we were trying to name her and we had, some trouble agreeing on a name, and now we can tell the story and laugh about it. So like,
I read a book called 100,000 Names, and
he read the whole book.
All of them. Wow. I went through all of them with an Excel sheet about like top tier names, low tier, like all this stuff.
Wait, you categorized 100,000 names?
Oh no, I mean I only picked what was probably too many. I think I picked 50, 70 names or something.
Yeah, it's a lot. He sent me a list on a Google Doc.
Johnny did the same thing.
And I was like, wow.
Yeah, you have to ask him about it. He has
I
like
want to compare
columns.
notes.
He had columns too.
Yeah.
There was columns.
Wow.
Well, it started off and like, you know, I would say we're pretty progressive, not talk political, but we're on the same page for a lot of things. That being said, Jules was like, I really want a gender neutral name. And I'm all for, like, if our child transitions or wants anything that they want on the spectrum of the sun, go for it. That being said, I hate that. I'm not going to diss anyone. I don't like gender neutral names. Like, it's just, you know, it's like, she
He
wanted
didn't like
something.
any of them.
I don't want to say the names in case any listeners like,
Yeah,
hey, man.
That's my name.
Yeah, but it's like she had some names. I'm like, babe, that name sucks.
Because he was like, oh, Irish names. My family's Irish. So I pulled out like the prettiest Irish names and he didn't like any of them. but then if it was a girl, I knew it would be Gianna. Like from the beginning, I just knew.
So she entertained me by
I
like, yeah,
entertained
go
him.
for it. Read the book. Write the Excel sheet. Spend hours doing this. Doesn't matter.
It's still gonna be
It's
Gianna.
Gianna, yeah.
I got the middle name though, so that was a big win.
What's the
There's
middle
your
name again?
intuition.
The intuition, yeah.
Yeah.
The middle name is Harlow because she's going to be born on Halloween. You know, it's Gianna Harlow is
Oh,
what
I
we're
love
going
that.
with. So
It's a nice name. Well, thank you guys for coming on. This has
Yeah.
been really nice. I
Oh,
feel
wait,
like I
did
know
you wait? Did you want to answer what
yeah.
something
Oh, yeah,
that makes
sorry.
you laugh, or unless
Oh.
it's the same thing?
oh yeah, it's her.
Yeah.
The
All the
pregnancy
symptoms.
brain is hilarious. The just constant struggle and moaning of like moving around is kind of cute in a like messed up way. Yeah, I don't know, just the big old waddle. Just, I don't
Duck
know,
waddle.
it just makes me giggle. Like, oh,
Yeah.
you look so uncomfortable all the time. Just want to squeeze you.
You have to get really uncomfortable to want to push the baby out. So
Yes.
As soon as you told us that, or you like mentioned that, I'm like, oh my god, it makes sense. And then
because you just keep it in there, right?
Yep.
right after Sophie told me that, you were like, I need it out now. It was like the beginning of the third trimester. I'm like, oh wow. Sophie said.
Do you think you'll try induction techniques, like natural induction techniques, around a certain time period?
Yes. Yes, we.
Is this like
never
we're gonna
stopped.
have sex?
That's sex, yes. In the birthing class that we were at for Kaiser, she was going through, she asked us like all the different ways that we could try to induce labor, and everyone was listing all these things and no one said sex. And I was just like, why is no one saying sex? And so I just chimed in. I was like, sex. And she was like, yep, there it is. That's number one. Have sex.
Yep.
So
I didn't need a doctor for that one.
we're good at that. And then walking. I want to walk in the curb walk. I heard about the curb walk.
Yep.
So I'll try that. I'll try whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thanks.
Yeah, thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
It was
Sophie,
such
Jordan,
a pleasure
thanks
to
for
talk to you
having us.
both.
Yeah. Thanks for having us
And
on.
we're really looking forward to talking to you after.
Bearing Birth is available on all major podcast streaming services. We invite you to subscribe as well as follow us on Instagram at Bearing Birth Podcast.